Hello everyone. Recently I have given up playing this game, and I do not see a point in it anymore. I've been playing for 4 years and I have acquired 4k hours in total on 2 accounts. So that you have an idea where I come from, I have 2 accounts, a standard account and an EOD account. The EOD account is my main account with over 3000 hours in Tarkov, and the standard account has around 900 hours. You might ask yourself, why do you have 2 accounts? That seems a bit sus, right? Let me explain. It was nice when you had loads of kits ready when you entered late wipe, but that became stale really fast. Especially playing meta kits all day. It feels like a rip-off of Battlefield, but with shittier recoil. But on the standard account, there was a hardcore challenge beginning. It started with Pestily or Deadly Slop a few years back, and that made me create a second account. Tarkov has always been enjoyable to me, but I have recently started to dislike it, hate it, and eventually taking my interest away from it. My focus in this video will be the core in-game issues that have made me lose interest as a Tarkov enjoyer, not cheaters or exfil campers to be exact. As this video will be a multi-chapter essay, let's start with chapter 1. Recoil, Raiders and PvP. The point of this chapter will be how radically the game has changed in the past years, from being a rush to win to now which is sitting and camping to win. As the video in the background plays, you can see how little modification the gun had and how low of a recoil they had. Considering my background, I play mostly flick shooters, games like CSGO, Apex, Rainbow Six Siege and other ranked games, and I love to have the same game rules as the enemy against me. Tarkov isn't that type of game. Back in the day, recoil was amazing, nowadays it's this. I don't know if it's a modifier depending on how wide your FOV is, but the FOV slider affects the recoil significantly, making your full auto shoot to the top of the ceiling if it's set to the lowest, and having almost the old school recoil when it's set to the highest. Here's an example. Having that high of a recoil on a gun that is modified to almost have no recoil is crazy to me. The recoil is uncontrollable at 50 FOV. Even if you try to adjust the vertical recoil, the horizontal recoil will kick you from left to right with RNG pattern that will make your fight hard to read and manage. Even turning the tables for the enemy who is playing at 75 FOV, with him also making mistakes to eventually lead to you losing the fight so hard you uninstall the game. I will show you another example with me using a crease vector. And this chapter is called Recoil, Raiders and PvP for a reason, because I have seen people dominate with Scar L since the vibe began, and when I tried the gun, the recoil was so shit I sold every single scars I have found in those 2 months to fans, and the sole reason was because of this new recoil modifier. PvP this vibe felt like I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons with my autistic friend, and him being the dungeon master and rolling 2 every time I do a skill check, he makes up this 1% scenario of me shooting a guy in the helmet and getting the ricochet back into my own eyes and killing myself during a fight. That's how I feel this vibe. Every time I meet a raider, I see him skateboard through the bunker doors and head eyes me to death. Meanwhile, I'm wishing I was playing something else than this. With BSG increasing the recoil, a lot of the PvP issues started to rise to the top. Raiders and scavs lasering you through doors, walls and any wall-bangable object that can be penetrated with Poleva 6 slugs. Like, come on man! Raiders having no recoil, meanwhile you make dump the sky or the ceiling of a train station on reserve. People shooting each other with 34 hit counts at the end of the fight, and with PvP encounters more retarded than Roblox dating. I mean, I won't lie, I love how the game looks, feels.
The frame rate still sucks.
But with the addition of Inertia 2.0, it's more about strategy than being a V and shift player. Even the decision of pulling the hype and ammo from traders, I totally supported the idea, but nerfing everything and the recoil on top of it? This game now feels more than a milsim airsoft event, where every fat middle-aged man is camping spawns and tryhards the whole round. Wait a second. I think a lot of people are actually discouraged to fight. They're rather scoping the area around, looting it and then leaving and not even trying to PvP at all. I think BSG should rethink the decision with recoil and re-implement the old recoil. In the long run, I think it hurts the community more. Actually, I have a friend that is active military personnel. He played Tarkov with me. Link down below. He loved how it looked, and when he started blasting the basic M4, he said, "Dude, does this gun shoot tank bolts, or why the fuck is the recoil that high? Is my PNC an incel from 4chan? Man, what the fuck is happening?" Also, bring back the old grenades, thanks. With chapter 1 being at the end, let's continue with chapter 2, which is the economy and hideout. The whole point of chapter 2 is that hideout feels like a chore. A lot of quests can be done from hideout, and repetition is needed to progress the hideout, so it complements each other, right? Well, with recent changes it doesn't feel like that. It feels more like a chore and pure luck finding those items on your own, and with questionable nerf to solar panel and how some items are acquired, I skipped the hideout this wipe and only did the items that were necessary towards progression. And by me being a student, I was playing 8 hours a day non-stop and still was struggling to find what I wanted, even though I knew where to find it. With these changes to hideout, a lot of these items that are needed cost a lot, considering I managed to save up 20 mil rubles this wipe. 2 wipes ago I had 20 times as much money, and flea market prices were lower compared to now. Even back then, only a small percentage of people managed to do the hideout. Now it's twice as hard to do it. Why should I bother with it? I believe a lot of people are actually asking themselves this question when they open up hideout. Nobody wants to grind interchange 20 times a day to find 8 electric motors, like who gives a fuck? And even when you go down the road of buying it, it costs 200k at the start of the wipe or its first week. For 150k, which is even cheaper, you can buy a Zenith AK from Skier 2. And you can actually play. Oh, actually, hold on. You cannot play because the fucking character broke their arms before entering Tarkov, and you cannot fucking hold the gun properly. So the recoil is like I'm shooting the gun. Fucking. The point I'm trying to make is that it's grindy. To such an extent, it actually feels like a second job. Trying to maximize cav runs, PMC runs that you can make it worth your while. I was teaching a lot of people who still play Tarkov to this day, and most of them gave up figuring out which item is worthwhile to pick or which one is good for crafting, because there are so many of them that if I was starting to play Tarkov today, I would give up as well. BSG also increased the cost of hideout places, for example the gun range or heating station, by increasing the amount of items needed to construct the place. For a person that went through this multiple wipes and feels this was fine as it was back in the day, why increase it if there will be multiple wipes ahead that will still not introduce open world? It feels more as a cheap tactic to stretch the gameplay so wide it eventually becomes Rust 2.0. Let's continue to an also highly debated issue, which is Chapter 3, Quests. I know some people will react, "Yeah, I love these quests, yeah, what about them?" And some reacting, "Yeah, what about these quests? Yeah, some of them suck, but some of them are good, right? Yeah, I agree. Some quests push you to do stuff outside your personal bubble, but why make quests about killing rogues around a helicopter and you need to kill 20 of them? Why? Or killing 20 PMCs at a location that are opposite of your faction, USEC or Bear, depending which one you choose, and again, I don't like Lighthouse. Personally, I think it's a bad map. It's rectangle shape like Customs, but Custom has eastern side and a western side. Those are spawns, and they eventually meet in the middle. Lighthouse has the same design, but at the same time the spawn points are in the middle, which makes those spawns really overpowered. People who are spawned at the outskirts of the map eventually need to come to the rogue camp, where there are people camping on those spawn points. They haven't moved since they fucking spawned. And for me, that's a big issue. I know they announced a big lighthouse extension, but I really don't care. I don't care about that map. BSG has also raised another thing that made me feel that it wasn't necessary, and that is, even when you complete all quests, you don't get Kappa right away. You need to be a certain level, which means a player that is above average to even try to achieve Kappa, it means fuck you, sell your life away for a game that doesn't matter, for a thing that doesn't even matter because it's digital, and even then when you get it, it will be wiped. Wasn't the whole point of Kappa case that people who are actually veterans and know how to do quests to give them a reward or a goal to strive for? Nowadays, only people with ridiculous number of hours will achieve Kappa case, and only those people, which gives them extra space for meds and containers, keys, etc. You might be asking, why do you care so much about the Kappa case? Well, I was most of my Tarkov playtime a standard user, which meant I was doing stash upgrades, I was upgrading my cases from beta to epsilon, then to Kappa, and yeah, that screenshot you saw where I had 100 million rubles, yes, I had a standard account and I went through the whole stash upgrade. And by hearing that Kappa case will be unachievable by playing normally, I said to myself, nah, that there's no point of doing quests anymore. The only point of quests are to increase your reputation with traders so you can buy better equipment. And even when you go to level 2 or 3, it still won't matter because most of the meta gear stuff is at level 4 and it's a pain in the ass to get on level 4, especially with a standard account, because you don't have as much reputation from the get-go. In conclusion, I can say I have finally escaped Tarkov, because this game will not be in my life and I will spend my time with titles and friends that actually bring me joy. For example, rather than selling croutons on the flea market. The game has become something I hate. Sweaty tryhards that abuse the game mechanics for their own personal gain, like anything in this day and age. I mean, the player base, not the devs. For me, that has spent the last 3 years playing this game non-stop, it's hard for me to say this, but it's true. The game has lost its personal charm and nothing will bring me back, and I see it more as a Rust with a bigger emphasis on guns and modding. Combat has become really dissatisfying and nerve-wracking. The hideout feels like building a base in Rust with constant grind, and finally when you are done, Vibe comes around and you start all over again. The quests make me not actually do the quests, and I wish I could grab a high ergo AK-74 Magpul from my stash and go play any map that has close quarters combat. I wish Nikita that in the end, his idea to form this amazing unforgiving world will be finished, and maybe then I will take a look. Now I will be a filthy casual and play Battlefield 4 and other chill games that I can sit down for a few hours and finally find peace in not trying to achieve everything in Tarkov. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope if someone who is in the same shoes as me will do the same, and if not, I wish you the best in your raids and farewell.